I'm 90 years old, and I need to tell you something I've carried in silence for 7 decades. Something that shaped every single day of my life, but that I never had the courage to say out loud.
Not to my wife, not to my children, not even to myself, really. Not until now. I'm dying. They tell me I have maybe 6 months. And suddenly all the reasons I had for keeping quiet don't matter anymore. I lived my entire life as someone I wasn't. I need you to understand what that means. Not the version you see in movies or read about in books. The real version. The one where you wake up every single morning and put on a performance before your feet even hit the floor. I grew up in a small town in the 1940s. My father worked at the steel mill. My mother kept house. We went to church every Sunday. I had 2 older brothers who played football and dated cheerleaders and did everything boys were supposed to do. And I tried. God, I tried so hard to be like them. When I was 17, I knew. I knew in a way that made me physically sick. I would lie in bed at night and feel this truth pressing against my chest so hard I couldn't breathe. But knowing something and accepting it are different things. And in 1952, in that town, with that family, acceptance wasn't an option I could even conceive of, so I made a choice. Or maybe the choice made itself and I just went along with it. I decided to be normal, to be what everyone expected, to survive. I met Margaret at a church social when I was 22. She was kind. She laughed easily. She came from a good family. Everyone said we made sense together. So I asked her to marry me, and she said yes. And I told myself that this feeling I had, this thing inside me, would fade once I had a wife and a life and responsibilities. It didn't fade. We married in 1956. I got a job at the bank. We bought a small house on Maple Street. She got pregnant with our first child within the year. I did everything right. I went to work. I mowed the lawn. I coached Little League. I smiled at neighbors. I showed up, but every single day I was pretending. Do you know what it's like to wake up next to someone you care about but can't love the way they deserve? Margaret was a good woman. She never did anything wrong. She made dinner every night. She kept our home. She raised our children beautifully. And I betrayed her every day just by being myself, even though I never acted on it, never strayed, never did anything that would hurt her in ways people could see. The hurt was quieter than that. It was in the distance she felt but couldn't name, the way I would turn away sometimes, the conversations that never went deep enough. The feeling, I think she had it too, that we were play-acting at intimacy rather than living it. We had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. I loved them. I still love them. But I couldn't be fully present even for them, because being present meant being real, and being real meant revealing what I'd spent every waking hour trying to hide. I remember my youngest son, David, when he was maybe 7 or 8. He asked me one night at bedtime, "Dad, are you happy?" And I said, "Yes, of course I'm happy." What kind of question is that? But he looked at me with these serious eyes and said, "You always look sad when you think no one's watching." I told him he was being silly, sent him to sleep. But that moment has stayed with me for 40 years. The thing about living a lie is that it doesn't announce itself with drama. It's not like the movies where there's a big confrontation or a moment of crisis. It's quieter. It's thousands of tiny deaths. It's editing yourself in every conversation. It's monitoring every gesture, every word, every glance. It's the exhaustion of never resting, even in your own home. I would see men sometimes, at the grocery store, at the gas station, and I would feel something stir and then immediately crush it down so hard I'd feel sick. I trained myself to not look, to not wonder, to not imagine what my life could have been. Margaret got sick in 1998, breast cancer. I took care of her through the treatments, drove her to appointments, held her hand, and I meant it, in the way I could mean it. But even then, especially then, I hated myself for the lie we were living. She deserved someone who loved her completely, not someone who was fond of her, not someone who was grateful to her. Someone who felt what she felt. She died in 2001. At her funeral, people said what a devoted husband I'd been. How lucky she was to have had me. And I stood there nodding, accepting condolences, wanting to scream. After she died, I thought maybe I could finally breathe. I was 66 years old. My children were grown. I was alone. And I thought maybe now. But you can't undo 70 years of hiding in a day, or a year, or a decade. I didn't know how to be anything else. The performance had become who I was. I'd worn the mask so long it had fused to my skin. I tried once. Went to a support group in the city, an hour's drive from my town. Sat in the back. Listened to people talk about coming out, about living authentically, about finding love in their 60s and 70s. And I felt like an alien. Like I'd waited too long. like I'd missed the window where courage was still possible. I left halfway through and never went back. My children visit. They bring grandchildren. We have pleasant conversations. They think they know me. They tell stories about their childhood, about what a good father I was, how steady, how reliable. And I smile and nod and feel the distance between who they think I am and who I actually am stretching wider every year. None of them know. I'm 90 years old and my own children don't know who their father is. Not really. I'm not telling you this because I want pity. I'm telling you because I need you to understand what it costs. Not in some abstract way. In the actual day-to-day minute-by-minute cost of living outside yourself. I never held someone's hand the way I wanted to. Never kissed someone who made my heart race. Never woke up next to someone and felt completely wholly seen. I had a wife. I had children. I had a career. I had respect. But I never had myself, and now I'm here, 90 years old, dying, and it's too late. Not too late to tell the truth. I'm doing that now. But too late to live it. Too late to build the life I should have had. Too late to know what it feels like to be fully, honestly present in my own existence. You might be young. You might be in the middle of your life. You might be carrying something you think is too dangerous to reveal. Something that feels like it would cost you everything if people knew. I'm not going to tell you it's easy. It's not. I'm not going to tell you there won't be consequences. There might be. But I need you to hear this from someone who chose the other path. The cost of hiding is higher. It's so much higher than you can imagine when you're in the middle of it. Because it's not just time you lose. It's yourself. It's the ability to connect. It's the chance to be loved for who you actually are. It's the fundamental human experience of being known. I spent 90 years protecting a secret. And in protecting it, I lost my life. Not dramatically, just quietly. One day at a time. I don't have much time left now. Weeks maybe. A couple months if I'm lucky. And I'm sitting here in this room, alone, looking back at 9 decades. And the loudest thing I feel is the silence where my real life should have been. If you're hiding something fundamental about who you are, please don't wait as long as I did. Please don't trade your one existence for safety, for approval, for the comfort of fitting in. I can't get my time back. But maybe if you're listening to this, you can still claim yours. I'm 90 years old, and I never lived a single day as myself. Don't let that be your story too.